It's the Center Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal! Yes! Yes! Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Analyzing all of the league matchups week to week.
You can't win!
Get him a body bag! Finish him!
That is a bit above average.
I said this sucks, and basically so do you.
And discussing the boom, bust, and hidden gem players throughout the league.
We ain't found shit!
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Laces out.
Touchdown!
And here's your host,
Allow myself to introduce myself.
David Harbatkin. Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 9 of Season 7. I'm your host, David Harbatkin, the technologically challenged David Harbatkin, joined by the Commissioner of the League.
Hello.
And fellow disappointed coach from this last week, Mr. Gazaletsky of the Hackettstown Hagglers.
Hello again.
Yes. And joined by the exuberant, still Booger McFirst Place, coach of the Hackettstown's finest, Mr. Manny Friedman.
Nice to be back on the show. It's always great being the only victorious coach on the podcast.
Yes. It's fantastic being the loser to one of the biggest losers in the fucking galaxy. So, in keeping with my theme of not being able to use any technology this week, so I will preface this that I did not see any of the games this weekend. When I said I was going out to the woods, I thought all right, like I had to go to a wedding out in the woods. It was in the woods. Like this was like living like pioneers and colonists. There was not only no Wi-Fi, I mean, like they had Wi-Fi technically, but you couldn't hook up to it because it didn't have enough bandwidth to actually load the app. So I couldn't do anything there. But then that was not enough. After that it turns out that the whole wedding was in the fire areas. So they turned off, as a precaution, all of the electricity. So there was no electricity. Not only did I not have Wi-Fi, I had no electricity. So there was no way that I could do anything with this roster. It would have been nice, for example, to know that Christian Kirk was playing this week. But no, that I was not afforded that opportunity. I couldn't make any edits. Whatever I had to go with on Thursday was there. And then I get home and this is the second time we're recording this because even my technology here is not freaking working. So let's go through this freaking loss. Let's get it over with. The Zamunda Lions defeat the 1603ers 109.16 to 126.7 out of 109.16. Derek Carr got 29.40 points. Derek Carr is at least an NFL player. I don't know what an Olabasi Johnson is. But Olabasi Johnson got 4.7 points. These are the stars. This feels like the championship game that I played against Keys, where he just rolled out the JV high school team against me. He played the backup. Madison to the backup to Dalvin Cook, who got 8.4 points. And this was all on Thursday night, so he got out of Thursday night with 13 points. Yet he still won because Terrell Williams got 18.10 points. Kittle got 14.6, 9.5 from Watkins, 10 from Fairbairn, my former player, 8 from New Orleans. And speaking of former players, James Conner puts the dagger in my back. The A2 Brute, 24 points against Miami before he goes out for the season, essentially, and screws me over. And that's it. Yes. Oh, I guess I fielded a team technically this week. I don't know, since I couldn't do anything with the lineup, but this is what I said it and forgot about it. So Allen got 21.26 points for Buffalo. the person who will never, ever see a 1603 uniform again. He did this to me years ago when he sucked with his quote-unquote potential. Corey Davis gets a chance, a second chance. You can't give people second chances. You learned this, Geese, right? You learned this with Mike Evans, right?
Many times.
Yeah.
During the same season.
Yeah. No, you can't do it. Can't do it. 2.9 points. The last 2.9 points he will ever score on my team. Don't worry, he'll probably come back on the Zamunda Lions next year and destroy me like this. But I don't care. You're never seeing a 1603ers uniform again. Golden Tate got 16.5 points. McCaffrey with 27.5. The big $65 or $73, $74 mint, whatever. Anybody, Ty Johnson filling in the role for the other Johnson. He's clearly a lesser Johnson. A much smaller, less girthy Johnson gets 4.8. 4.8 is an embarrassing length for a Johnson. Waller 9.1. Beasley continues to do a little bit well. 13.10 points. Only 4 points on this line. 10 from the Tennessee defense. Plenty of bench blunders. Plenty of points on the bench. But it didn't matter because I couldn't put him in. Like I said, Christian Kirk, 17.8 points. Had no idea that he was going to be playing because when I left Civilization on Thursday, he was still out. Breida, of course, got another injury, as he seems to every week now. Tyler Boyd with 12.8. DJ Moore only had 8 on the bench. I don't know. But once again, I don't know anything that happened in any of these games because I did not see any of them. I just know that my team... So finally, after I get back from the cabin in the woods, the kids' cabin, by the way, because I had to sleep in bunk beds. I'm a 41-year-old man that had to sleep in bunk beds. And every time my top bunkmate would move, it felt like an earthquake. And then I wake up and then see this bed on top of me and thinking that, oh, here I go. Here I'm going to die. Everybody else had like luxurious cabins with like stoves and kitchens and everything else. They threw us in the tiny little bunk bed room with no electricity. I mean, granted, nobody had electricity because the entire area didn't have electricity. Even the closest town that you had to drive 30 miles to had no electricity. Everything was closed. Street lights were out. Everything. It was like a zombie apocalypse. It was a perfect scene for a horror movie. The wedding was lovely, though. But anyway, the scenery.
Wait, so there was electricity at the wedding?
So they had a backup generator, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And right, and I mean, but the wedding was in the woods. I mean, it was all outdoors in the woods. It looked like the Ewoks were gonna come out at some point in the wedding. Like, imagine that scene. That's what it was. That's basically where it was. And no reception. It didn't matter. There was no reception. And there was no electricity eventually when they shut it off. Like, I had to use a lantern to go to the bathroom to know that I was finished. And so then after I get out of the wilderness and drive miles and miles away and finally get to quote-unquote civilization, the massive civilization that is Fresno, California, or maybe Merced, which I looked up actually means mercy, I found that I was losing to the Zamunda Lions. The extra kick in the nuts after this weekend. Also, because I threw out my back sleeping on the bunk beds, on the children's bed. It had no support. So the second night I slept on the floor, even though I was in excruciating pain. I have a cavity. I had to go to the chiropractor. I'm going to need a root canal tomorrow. This is all just a terrible, terrible week for me, capped off by the swift kick in the nuts that is a loss to the Zamunda Lions. I don't know what to say here. I mean, like, look, I would have liked to have at least been able to put in somebody like Christian Kirk to replace Corey Davis had I had, 21st century technology, which, maybe I should have sent a carrier pigeon to the home offices to change this stuff. But I couldn't have, otherwise there was no way to communicate. Certainly could have sent smoke signals. I would have been engulfed in flames like the rest of the state. But, yeah, no. So, yeah, it's devastating loss. I mean, this is what happened. This is what the 1603ers do. You want to put out your JV team, we will absolutely lose to you. We will absolutely play players that you've never even heard of. Olabasi Johnson. Who was the player that you beat me with in the championship? Bibs, Capri Bibs?
Free bibs.
Capri Bibs. We'll score 209 if you put it out your real team, but if you're putting out your practice squad, no, we're going to lose. It's ridiculous. We have now lost to 2 of the 3 Musketeers. We lost to Zamunda, and we lost to Eugene. We're the only ones who are providing them with wins. We almost lost to Nick and Jamie.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. And it's not like this was important or anything. It's not like this would have put us in second place. Oh, yeah, it would have. But no. No.
So you'd rather play a team with actual players?
Yes, clearly. Everybody else, this is a bye week. Everybody else sees on the schedule, oh, we're playing Zamunda. What random player will come out of the woodworks to go play?
Well, you play the third place team next week, so you might actually come up with a win.
Yeah, we might actually win. The third place team, that's what we used to be before we played Zamunda. We would have been the second place team. We would have been looking down at this third place team, but now we have to look up at the third place team. And and we're still a win away from the second place team. We need another miracle to happen for that to oh my god. Just yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So that happened. I don't know. Any comment? I mean, like, you guys at least were able to watch the games. I don't know.
No, it's pretty funny going into the Monday night game. Ironically, the guy who you had to have not do well was the guy you gave Nick. I mean, it was the perfect ending to the week.
Yeah, and then he bows out because I think he's out for the season now, or whatever. He's out. He at least got injured in the game, and he didn't get injured before he got 24 points.
Yep. And as soon as he's done, he's like, "Oh, now that I've shafted Dave, I'm injured. I'm out."
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much the most frustrating situation you could find yourself in. Just completely helpless.
Ugh.
I mean, and you think you finally get a signal. It's like so exciting as you're going to the Cluckers. I can get real food. That's the other thing. There was no place to eat. I think I had nothing to eat really. I had burnt pizza on Friday.
Oh.
We were the last table at the wedding. So the food was gone. They didn't order enough food, so the food was gone. And there's no place to get any food except for the general store. Which by the way, I didn't even eat it. So I went with somebody to the general store. She bought $100 worth of food to make breakfast burritos and mimosas. I don't know how you do that at the general store or whatever. And she forgot her credit card, so I paid for it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, she Venmoed it to me back. And then but then I went, then I went back to go get the breakfast burritos, and I didn't even have that. So I hadn't eaten all week. I had peanut butter that I bought in Fresno. That was the only thing I could eat, or that I had available to eat.
Oh man.
And then I finally get back to technology. I finally get, the signal, only to find out that I'm losing to Zamunda. The hits just keep on coming.
Like I'm waiting for fantasy football all fucking week.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get through the work week just so you can get fantasy football. Saturday is a killer, and then Sunday, finally, yes, let me watch these games. And then you can't even watch shit since Thursday. You finally get the technology, open your phone, and go, what the fuck is this?
In fact, I called you and said, what the fuck is this?
I've told Gaze at work, I mean, sometimes I have a debate with myself. Would I rather have Wi-Fi or would I rather have food? And like 9 times out of 10, it's actually Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I had neither. Wi-Fi.
If you have neither, that's the worst.
Wi-Fi. I would have settled for electricity. Nothing.
Yeah,
so
I
are
would
you
have been
the Jim
devastated.
Mora playoffs? Playoffs? Like, are you that bad, Dave, or is this just a minor shakeup?
What, in terms of what I'm going to do for the team?
In terms of where you are as confidence in your team.
Oof.
Was this just a hiccup, or is this a Jim Mora playoffs?
No, it's not. Look, I didn't watch the games. I have no idea what happened. No, this is not a Jim Mora playoffs. This is a I'm getting my steel-toed boot to kick Corey Davis's ass out of this fucking organization for good. And other than that, we'll figure out what else is going on. I don't know, but I don't know what happened. I mean, look, Lamar Jackson was on a bye. McCaffrey obviously continued to perform well. Tate did fine. There were players on the bench that did well. Like I said, I would have liked to have played Christian Kirk. That would have been a respectable score with all of this. No, this is, I mean, look, and this is, first of all, in order for me to panic about my team, I have to at least be able to see the games, like, or something, see something, not just come back and get a score like an FU score, and that's it. So no, it's not panic time at all. I mean, I'm a little concerned about Ty Johnson. I'll tell you that. that's a big concern.
$84 man.
Yeah. With 4.8 points, which right up there with all of the other barn burners that have been, had tons of money spent on them. Hawkinson, I mean, how many points did he get? I mean, like, how much money has been thrown at this Detroit organization to only have, like, 5 points? I mean, I think you paid $65 on Hawkinson. I've now paid $74 on Ty Johnson.
Well, with Hawkinson, I set the ceiling for the league's free agent bidding.
Yeah, you made it you made it absolutely absurd, and then you got like 1 point, 1.7, I think, something like that. But yes, we wanted some more Detroit action, and we got some $73. I mean, that's more. But granted, that's more money than the city probably has. I've watched Hardcore Pawn, but yeah, no, this is terrible. This is just atrocious. I don't know what I want to do with running back 2. That's where my concern is. I mean, it's not like the kind of thing where you just dismantle the team or anything else, but that's where my concern is. Running back 2.
Walton was actually a good pickup with Drake's Cakes getting traded to Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be fine.
It's a good pickup.
I did that pickup when I was back on Monday, reeling from the news that I have a cavity, and right after I got back from the chiropractor fixing me from the bed. Whatever. This week cannot end soon enough. Start anew. I'm ready to start anew. Speaking of teams that are not ready to start anew, let's look at the battle for last place. The Three Musketeers. The split in the Three Musketeers, as 2 of them stuck together with wins. I did not expect that to happen. I expected 2 of them to stick together with losses, but no. In sole possession of last place. The one thing that gives me joy. Dave's Secret Crush loses to Nick and Jamie to grab sole possession of last place. They lose 139.62 to 127.10. That's wonderful. It's just wonderful. And mind you,
amazing.
Yeah,
Can't even hide his belief.
I can't. So Tannehill gets 25.42 points for Nick and Jamie. Galladay 28.3, 10.4 for Alshon Jeffrey, 16 for Mac. Derrick Henry only had 7.3, but Johnny, what is it? Janu Smith. Yeah. He gets 19.8 points. Staying at the Hilton only cost 7.4 points, 12 from Lambeau. And Pittsburgh got 13 for Dave's Secret Crush, 11 points from Kirk Cousins, 10 from Godwin, 10 from Sutton, 15 from Carson, 10 from Jacobs, 3.10 from the aforementioned Hawkinson, so he had a big game, almost doubling his Hagler score, 12 from Myers, 12 from Minnesota, and look at that, Mike Evans with 42 points, 42.8 points. So he plays both of them. And he still loses.
And look, the player that he's been looking to trade away, David Montgomery, scores 24.7 points.
I love everything about this game. I seem to recall... Oh, yeah, and then Miles Sanders also 22.8 points. I seem to recall your prediction from last week's game. What was your prediction for this game, Geese?
That Dave's Secret Crush, despite being predicted to win by the other 2 coaches, would find a new way to lose. a new and unique, laughable way to lose, and he has.
And he did exactly that.
Yes, I mean it is impressive. I mean, because he has like how many less points does he have than Nick and Jamie? So Nick and Jamie have 904 points in the season. Dave Secret Crush has 988, so like almost 80 more points. And yet they're in sole possession of last place. I mean, it's amazing how they've been able to lose this year. It's amazing. It's amazing watching. It's just great.
Well, first of all, we've said that this was supposed to be Eugene's comeback streak and get climb back in it, and the last 2 weeks have just been quite surprising. Like these two losses, I did not foresee.
I did not foresee any of them. I mean, I thought he was going to. First of all, he played the Lightning Rods the week the Lightning Rods get 173 points.
Mm-hmm.
And he still had like 156 that week.
That was a new way to lose.
Yeah.
And then he lost to Dr. Hockey's defense.
Yes. And Sony Michelle on
in the
Monday night.
last game of the week, you lose to the defense.
And then Nick and Jamie come back. I mean, like with the players that ironically he's been trying to peddle to everybody else. They were like, "Oh yeah, well we're stuck with you, and we're gonna score all these points on your bench."
On the bench, you didn't even play him.
Had he played one of them, he would have won. Had he played both of them, he definitely would have won. He played Mike Evans, who gets the 40 points, which won him the game against me, but it's still not enough here.
And he played the Godwin-Evans combo meal finally.
He did.
That we've been saying. This is, like you said, this was a quite satisfying way to watch the champ go out.
Yes, because this is his 7th loss. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he is done.
His own shenanigans cost him in this one, across the board.
It's just like karma. Like, this is the most karmic game I've ever seen. Just the season. I mean, like, it's unbelievable. First of all, for him to be in sole possession of last place is hilarious. It's hilarious. He should not be. His team is better than that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's made all of the wrong moves. And I don't even know if it's like it's his fault for making just all of the wrong things have happened to him all season long. Some of them are his fault, but I mean, wow, it's hilarious. It's on a dire week. This is a week, on a down week, on a cloudy day. This is the kind of thing that brings sunshine.
Well, this is the kind of
I've got
thing
sunshine on a cloudy day.
Didn't start playing for the.
I've got Dave's secret crush. My team.
I guess he starts playing for the Tillett Trey now. He can start playing for the early preparation.
Yeah, he's definitely
Even the Trey game.
yeah.
Watch out, he can really make some moves. Losers bracket.
Yeah, no, 1st to 7, so first probably eliminated.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your seats and trays in the upright. The champ's coming to town.
I mean, even because you had a bad year last year, but even you did not go from first to worst. You did not.
I mean, he was one game away from being the earliest possible exit out of the playoffs. Right?
I know.
He got a win
Against me, but of course.
It's your squad. You kept hope alive.
I did. Yeah, no, I know. It's I mean, that's what we do. We always lose to teams like that. Yeah. I know. It's yeah. I mean, no, I don't think anybody has ever won the championship followed by the tray. I mean, that would be.
This could be uncharted territory.
I know.
He's not messing around with another championship. He's going right to the tray.
He's bookends.
Who the hell wants to win 2 championships in a row when you can add a tray to your repertoire? He wants a tray to put the trophy on. All right, enough hating on Eugene. I think It's been satisfying enough.
Yes. All right, let's move on to. Where do we want to move on to?
Let's move on to our horrendous, horrific performance against Matt Lombardi,
Okay.
costing us a chance to really, really gain ground in the standings and do something.
Well, go for it.
Oh, yeah, go for it. All right. Oh, yeah. The good stuff kids go for. Sunny D. So this was a horrific nightmare. We paired off on Thursday nights. Anybody who does poorly on Thursday night usually wins. I mean, that's the general rule of thumb. So we got 4.7 points from Rudolph. And then after that, it was just all down. Is my voice coming through?
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
You sure? Okay. All right, anyway. Yeah, so let's look at this horrific mess. 109. That seems about average for the high. We're playing defensive football. Until Kevin Coleman showed up. I don't know why I tackled Kevin Coleman. He just, every time he touched the ball, I feel like more. I mean, this is the second half of the speech. We couldn't get a first down. We couldn't stop the run. Every time they got the ball, Lombardi got points. I mean, we couldn't throw the ball. Obviously, we couldn't. Fitzgerald with 2.8 points. And Edmonds, thanks, man.
You're welcome.
For the injury-prone Edmonds. Oh, but don't worry, Drake's Cakes is going to step in on 2 days' notice, and he's going to ball out.
Yeah.
Thursday against the number one defense in the league. Let's see how that goes. Let's look at the other players. Oh, yeah, Jones, the other Green Bay. I didn't even play the other Green Bay running back like I should have. I yanked my guy. His guy only a tidy 41 points. I mean, look, we lost to two players. We lost to Jones and Coleman. DK Metcalf, conveniently, his only 2 catches were touchdowns. Okay, he had 3 catches for 13 yards. What the fuck is that? But 2 TDs is very tidy. A very economical win for him. He just went right to the win column.
Yeah, 0 from Cooks.
Yeah, 0 from Cooks with a concussion. I was laughing early, but who's laughing now, right, Lombardi? Any bench blunders? It doesn't even matter. This bench was atrocious anyway. And yeah, that's it. But so hopefully the hockey deal, the hot poker from Dr. Hockey for Devontae Adams, he'll end up playing sometime this season. Otherwise, we'll be joining Eugene battling for the tray. So that's about it. So 4-4 record is the best we can do. And yeah, that's about it for this horrific nightmare of a game. I don't even want to talk about it. Let's move on to the next one. Please.
I mean, like, I would certainly not think that the best combo of running backs for the week would be Aaron Jones and Tevin Coleman. Mm-hmm. What happened? What happened when I went away? Did I go into a wormhole when I disappeared? What is all of this?
What happened to your guy, Breida? What was he doing?
I don't know. I think he got injured.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah, how convenient. He gets injured every week.
How convenient.
All I can say is Le'Veon Bell outscored Devontae Adams this week. By 6 points.
Well, we said 2 weeks because he was playing Jacksonville. So 2 weeks he's playing Miami, and we'll see what he gets. All right. That was the judgment on that one.
Eckler outscored Le'Veon, so I guess that's an upgrade for your team.
For now, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Upgrade last place.
I mean,
Austin
look,
Hooper, he continues to be extremely effective.
Yes.
Very impressive. I miss having him on my team, but that's okay.
Yeah, I miss being 7-1 as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's an impressive win. I mean, I have to say, Lombardi's team has definitely impressed me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has a great record. I don't know how he continues to do this, but
yeah, with Mason Rudolph as his quarterback,
I know
it's pretty impressive.
It's a 2-man game this week.
Benching his 2 top receivers, Keenan Allen and Odell, and he still comes up with a win.
Yeah,
very impressive.
All right, so moving on to the next game. Let's see. Where do we want to go next?
Well, we've got what do we got? Monkeys in Wakanda.
Ooh, but that's such a good game. We'll save that one for later.
You can go to my game.
Sure, why not? I'm sure you're just itching to get right to it. Go ahead. I'll let you relish in the joy of this victory against the Ezekiel Elliotless lightning rods.
All right, so maybe I shouldn't take too much credit since his best running back wasn't playing. But I'm very pleasantly surprised with my team. They continue to do good for me, and I like the point distribution. That's what pleases me the most. Not the point total, but the point distribution. How each player has gotten me above 10. That's what I look for in fantasy football. So I'm pleasantly surprised. A little bit disappointed with Chubb. Those 2 fumbles, that was a little bit like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But Gurley only 10 points against the dreaded Cincinnati team. That was a little bit disappointing too, but I can't complain. I got the win.
Yeah, pretty consistent. I mean, 10.4, 10.4, and 10.8. I mean, that's a very. You must like that bell curve right there, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I would prefer if it was 20.4, 20.4, and 20.8, but I'll take the 10. Diggs scared me a little bit going into the Sunday games with that 19-point performance on Thursday night, so that was a little bit worrisome. And Edelman also with the 27 points in the 4 o'clock games. I was like, it was getting a little close. I was getting a little bit concerned, but Kelsey did pretty good in the Sunday night game as well as Rodgers, so that put me over the top. So I'm pleasantly pleased. 7-1 record. I can't complain. First league in this very ultra competitive league.
Only 4 points from the Chicago defense against you. I mean, if the Chicago defense has like a normal week that they've been having, this might be a very different story. Especially with Edelman getting those 27 points. Although, to be honest with you, I'm looking at the Chicago defense. So they had 4 points this week, 5 points week 7, and 3 against Oakland in week 5. I mean,
they've been faltering a little bit.
Yeah, what's going on there? I don't know.
Yeah, defenses, I realize you have to play the matchups. I mean, New England plays such an easy schedule, so I would be playing them against everyone pretty much that they're playing. But defense against the matchups, that's the way to go. I've noticed.
Yeah, I mean, but this is because he had really good performances from most of his players. The problem was he just didn't have that RB1 in there this game. I mean, because 19 from Diggs, 27 from Edelman, and even 12 from Lindsey. I mean, that's enough to win for most weeks for him, but he just didn't have that last one. And totally respectable game from your team. Like you said, good distribution. So yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I like the Jordan Howard for Edmonds trade. That's looking good for me right now.
Yeah, no shit. Of course. I mean, the other Hackettstown, he just leaves them down at the Hackettstown Depot, and you go pick them up. It's ridiculous. I mean, in the Edmonds. I mean, yeah. So what was that trade? I'm sorry. I was back in the 17th century when that happened. What happened with that trade?
So I needed a quarterback pretty badly because I only had Rodgers, and anyone on the waiver wire, they all were shit. So I was like, I gotta look for a quarterback. So,
you definitely need a quarterback. You don't want somebody scoring like 33.10 points. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, Rodgers has a bye coming up, so I was preparing for that.
Okay.
So and just in case he gets injured, I mean, he's been injured in the latter parts of the season the last couple of years, so I was worried about that.
Yeah, it ruined my first season in this league. I was actually rolling with Aaron Rodgers, and then he got injured, and so yes, I personally am familiar with him doing that, and he did that another year. He did that with to Nick last year, right? Like Nick was actually doing really well until Rodgers got injured. Remember that case? Yeah.
And his whole season just unraveled.
Yeah, he was in first place actually when that happened, and then so.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, so I needed a quarterback badly. I wasn't looking to pick up like Jimmy Garoppolo or someone like that.
No,
so,
he couldn't go to your team. Not even for a week. He can't. Nobody like that can sniff this lineup.
And I knew Geza was looking for an RB2, so I had Edmonds on my bench. So
you gave him. Yeah, he was looking for an RB2, so you gave him an RB7. Makes sense.
So I gave him Edmonds and Landry for Brissett and Howard. So I thought it was a pretty even trade at the time, but now it's looking pretty good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're starting to. I mean, the Hagglers are starting to look, to me, like the Zamunda teams of yore. Like, I don't understand these trades. I don't get it. But whatever. It's
Well, Eckler, I mean.
Why?
He was good in the beginning of the year, but I just don't see him sustaining it.
No, I think that your trading is fine. My criticism is the other team. Whatever. Like I think I on the last podcast I had all that criticism, and your response to that is, all right, let me do worse. Let me do more. Let me give away more. I'm sure you're gonna be more than satisfied. Let me go pick up Edmonds, who's gonna play. Even if he didn't get injured, he's going to play for what, 2 weeks? He's the backup. How many backups do you want? On like do you have playoffs? Do you want? Are the Hagglers even planning on playing in the playoffs? Or are they just saying, you know what, we're just going to take players that are going to play right now, so that if we make it to the playoffs, we're not even going to have anybody to field. We're gonna be rolling with bench players. I mean, why are you going for the backup? Why are you going for all these backup running backs?
Well, they're in the hot flavor of the week.
That's right. I forgot. You flush everybody on the Twitter. You play week to week. You stream running backs because that's a recipe for success. Apparently,
you appear to be a week behind.
Yes. Ridiculous.
We'll have to bump up our timetable by a week for why these guys are actually relevant and not get them when they're horrible.
Yeah, well, live by the flush, die by the flush. All right.
Well, how long is Edmonds out? Is he out for the rest of the year? Or
Kenyon Drake is the new hot flavor of the week.
Yes.
Yeah, you're lucky that
until you trade him away
to Arizona.
Yeah,
he got traded to any other team.
A Drake's Cake offer. We'll be accepting offers for Drake's Cakes this week.
Don't worry, I'm sure he will leave because if Nick Chubb goes out of the game for Kareem Hunt, I'm sure he'll leave some Chubb down in aisle 13 of the Hackettstown Depot for you to pick him up in exchange for Drake's Cakes. Whatever.
Of course, we're leaving room on the roster open for more garbage.
All right, so I have nothing else to say about this game. This one went exactly as I predicted it. No, Elliot, it didn't. You were gonna win. All right, so that leaves us with.
Well, we have Whalers till it.
I know there's 2 good games. Well, all right, let's. Fine, we'll go with Wakanda. We'll go with this game first. So Wakanda. This is what happens when Wakanda is not hospitalized. Look at this. The Wakanda Panthers beat the Memphis Monkeys 154.42 to 142.14. These are the 2 highest scores in the league this week, if I am correct, playing each other. No, the Blues. Sorry, the Blues were in there too. it was a tale of two scores. So the Wakanda Panthers get Drew Brees back. Would you looky there? 31.92 points. He seems to make a difference. Cooper Kupp beating his old team.
His old team. What a surprise.
I know. 35 points. He makes an appearance. Pascal, I mean, I don't know what that is, but 1.6 points there. Latavius Murray, 36 points. Woo! Le'Veon Bell was only 6.5, so he does terribly. Olsen with 3.3. Sony Michel with 7.4. 11 for Gonzalez, the kicker, and 21 the standard points for his defense. No bench blunders, really. For the Memphis Monkeys, 25.34 for Jameis Winston, not bad. Marvin Jones Jr. played more like the junior than the senior this week with only 6.2 points. Juju Smith-Schuster, I gotta say, 21.30 points. That's not bad. Dalvin Cook, 28.1, 11.9 from James White, 5 from Graham, 28.3 from Saquon. So he almost matched his trading partner. I mean, not exactly, but whatever. 7 points from Crosby and 9 from the Los Angeles defense. No real bench blunders. I mean, I guess Minshew would have given him a few more points, but no. Wow. I mean, like this is what we feared with the Wakanda Panthers when they actually were playing. And if this means that he's gotten over the hump and he's back, watch out.
Yep.
And I mean, because he's 4-4. He would be in a playoff spot at this point.
Yeah, he is. He's literally in a playoff spot right now.
Yeah.
And now with Kamara out, he actually has an excellent running back core with Murray, Bell, and Mark Ingram on his bench.
I know.
So that's very dangerous.
Yeah, that is a team that you don't want to play. And, last week we said that this game was going to determine whether or not, if the Monkeys were going to make it or if the Panthers were going to make it. I at least said that the winner of this game was going to make the playoffs and the loser just was going to have too much to overcome to make it back. I'm not. I mean, look, the Memphis Monkeys are good. And if you look at what they scored this week, I mean, they might not be done. They only have 5 losses. I mean, yes, they're going to have to perform well every week, pretty much. They don't have much of a net, but they could still make the playoffs too.
Yep. I mean, imagine if Wakanda had Saquon. They would have had Murray, Bell, Ingram, and Saquon. That's a crazy running back.
Yeah, but I mean, there wouldn't have been enough room to play it. So I mean, that's so trading away Saquon gives and by the way, this was a week where they didn't even play Ingram because he was on a bye.
Right.
So they're gonna have Bell, Murray, Saquon, and Sony Michel. I mean, they're already gonna have to make a choice at running back at play, and then so then they add Cooper Kupp. I mean, they've done. I mean, and then to have survived what happened there. I mean. I think they're almost back to where they were when we were predicting, a runaway championship for them. I don't know if they're going to be a runaway. I mean, obviously, you can't say they're going to be a runaway champ, but this is the team that I don't want to play, and frankly, the Monkeys are a team that I don't want to play going into this.
Yeah.
If they
have a great running back core too.
I know, Dalvin Cook, James White, Saquon Barkley. I mean, my God. So, yeah, I mean, good win for the Panthers, and they're a team. I mean, they're already in a playoff spot, and the Monkeys are only 1 away from it. So, some of the teams, certainly teams that lose to Zamunda, need to be cognizant of this. There are some teams, nipping on the heels of everybody else. All right, well, that brings us to the last game, which is probably the best game of the week, certainly the closest, I think, and certainly one of the more important ones. As the Tillett Trey team wins, defeating the second place Whalers, giving them a 2-game losing streak, their first of the season. As Tilletree wins 125.86 to 122.96. I don't know where the excitement happened in this necessarily, because I think this came down to the last game, actually, because they were talking about this on Facebook. Because I guess well, whatever. So Tom Brady got 22.36 points, 25.2 from Julio Jones. Chark, great pickup, ends up with 19.90. Fournette continues to do well, 20.60. Frank Gore with 3.4. So not too well there. Everett with 3.5. McLaurin does better than he's been doing with 7.9. Zerline with 6. 17 from the San Francisco defense. And then, well, actually, I'll let you do the Whaler side of the ball.
Man.
All right. So the Whalers. So it was looking good for him until McCoy wet the bed. If McCoy could have gotten 11 points, I think he would have came up with a win in the Sunday night game. Melvin Gordon and Eckler kind of had an even distribution, so he got 11.4 points. Zach Ertz continues to be a major disappointment. I think the backup tight end outscored him, by the way. He's got 4 points. He might be bench material in the weeks going forward. Allen Robinson with 11.2. He's been decent. McManus, who scored 0 points for you, Dave, he got 7 this week. Deshaun Watson continues to be impressive with 33.76 with a crazy-ass touchdown pass late in that fourth quarter. Tyler Lockett is a consistent presence with 16 points, and Michael Thomas has been good with 27.3. And the Carolina defense, they got destroyed by San Francisco, but they managed with 4 points. And in terms of bench blunders, not too many, but I mean, if he started Singletary, he would have won the game. And Joe Mixon actually too, so actually 2 bench blunders for him. But with their poor performance in the previous weeks, I don't know if I would have considered starting those 2 guys anyway. So
yeah, I wouldn't call them a bench blunder.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the matchups, I mean, yeah, they all kind of have tough matchups. So yeah, he's got 4 running backs on the bench.
Nixon has been struggling lately all season.
Backs on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, and the Whalers, like, they had posted, there was something about McCoy fumbling in that game. I don't know. I didn't see anything. So did McCoy fumble in that game away? Here, I'm trying to find the post.
Yes, there was a costly LaShawn McCoy fumble that definitely factored in, but
yeah,
I mean, that wasn't the thing. I don't think.
According to this, Whalers posted. The good news is that I'm still alone with McCoy to go. The bad news is that if I'd started any of the other ragtag backs, I'd have won it. Good luck. And then later on, Kimmel said, yeah, I saw that when I was looking at your bench during the game last night. Whatever. We could all read that. But Whalers wrote, very good game. I had it easy until that fumble. So.
Yeah, that probably cost him.
Yeah, but I mean, still, he's what, 6-2? I would have thought pretty good shit.
Yeah. It helps me out. I was certainly rooting for Tilletree.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it interesting, certainly. Now, so Tilletree falls I mean, they're or not Falls. They are now one game behind the Whalers. I mean, the Blues are tied with the Whalers in terms of record. I mean, it's a battle. I just don't. I can't figure this out week to week. I mean, any one of these teams, honestly, from 1 to 9 can make the playoffs. I mean, 1 will, obviously. But unless there's a monumental collapse. But yeah.
Which the Hagglers are very capable of. Don't count them out for just completely collapsing for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean,
the trade deadline is approaching, though, so
yeah, you might not actually be able to jettison all of your good players.
You may have to show some loyalty.
I know.
We're really going to have to double down on throwing everybody in the trash can this week.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of Booger's analysis, but second place is the same, essentially the same as first place. You get a bye, and anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean the only difference between first and second is your second round matchup.
Well, you play 3 versus 6 instead of 4 versus 5.
It reseeds.
Oh, it reseeds anyway. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, injuries and all that. I don't think once you get in, I don't think seedings really matter.
I mean, theoretically, you'd be playing the worst team. But given record, the worst team, the quote unquote worst team, could be the Wakanda Panthers. I mean, they're sitting at 6 right now.
Right.
So,
I know.
So none of it seems good.
I'd honestly rather play you than play Wakanda or Memphis.
Well, I certainly appreciate that.
Because looking at your roster, I think, McCaffrey obviously can hurt you with, a crazy performance, but I don't fear the other guys as much. When I look at, Wakanda and Memphis, their running back cores, those guys can, together they can, hurt you more, I feel. But,
yeah. Why not? Who wouldn't want to play us? I mean, Zamunda would.
Yeah.
Yeah, who wouldn't? I mean, you've already beaten us.
Yeah. That was at the beginning of the year, though.
Yeah, I mean... You're the only team with a winning record to have beaten us.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty good game, actually. High scoring from both. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I actually lucked out because McCaffrey, that was the one bad McCaffrey game.
Right, against Tampa Bay.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for last week's games. So we are going to take a quick break and come back with our weekly interview, and then we'll go over next week's games after that. So everybody stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back to the show. On this week's in-depth coaching interview, we are pleased to be joined by, I don't even know. So, first of all, this league's first commissioner, the person that is probably more responsible for anybody else for the revitalization of the center in the 21st century. I mean, this whole thing was your brainchild. Like I said, the first commissioner of the league, 2-time Semi Cup finalist, never appearing anywhere near the championship in this league. But just an all around the originator of this podcast. Actually, this used to be your baby. So the legendary, whatever you want to call him, coach of the Zamunda Lions, Mr. Nick Zaveri. Welcome to the show.
It is great to be back on the podcast that I indeed started. Thank you, Dave.
All of this you started. I'm giving you. Look, I'm gonna butter you up with some compliments because we're gonna talk about your team eventually, and that's not gonna be pretty.
No, it's not. But you know what? I'm walking with a W, and that's all that matters, baby.
I'm well aware of that W. Congratulations. My team plays down to teams. So
keep rationalizing. That's cool.
I mean, it is I mean, we have more points than anybody in the league, and yet, I mean, I think you have the least amount of points. I mean, do you want me to get straight into the jugular? I mean, I don't even. What?
The L train just stopped for you. Are you gonna take it or what?
Am I really being? Oh my God! By the Zamunda Lions?
Oh my God!
What was it like those couple of times that you were in the finals, Nick? In this league? Oh wait, you weren't, right?
Wait,
you weren't.
No, of course not. No, I'm not.
Your players oftentimes are because you trade them away.
That is fair. That is absolutely true.
Fine. Well, let's get into your general coaching philosophy, because I cannot. First of all, I have to say you have picked players out of such obscurity. I mean, their families are so happy with it, like just to have a shot in the league. Where do you find some of the players that you find?
Mostly the dumpster. It's amazing what you can find when you dumpster dive. And most of it's a result of just this season and last year. Just a lot of panicking. So, I mean, last year even worse so this year than this season. But, yeah, just honestly bad investments. So, yeah, it is what it is. But, you just kind of just stay with it, So, just happy about giving $5 more. That's really it.
I mean, you're not eliminated from the playoffs yet. You're not Eugene.
Shockingly.
You could run the table.
Well, had you had the previous iterations of the podcast, your team Zamunda was part of the Three Amigos with the Garbage Barge and Dave's Secret Crush. So you and Jamie have kind of broken away from Dave's Secret Crush and left him in the basement.
Yeah.
Well, we get Eugene this week, so we'll see if we can keep that healthy distance.
Ooh,
this is a scintillating matchup coming up. Wow, getting ready to run that.
Yeah.
table.
It's basically Dolphins Jets, essentially.
Ironically, and they're playing each other this week. So, what strategy would you say going into the draft this year?
Well, I mean, I wanted to spend a lot of money. I wanted to downplay how much I spent on quarterbacks. So I went from the extreme with Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago to this year, well, it was really no money. So, learn my lesson there. But it was really about spending money on running backs. Unfortunately, overspent. It's hard to say you overspent on Kamara at $70, but he gets hurt. Breeze gets hurt, which obviously changes the outlook of the team. So that was a tough investment there. And then, put a line to Kerryon Johnson, which, again, Lions running backs are it seems to be tricky. Nick Chubb might have been an early exit. We'll see. Cleveland's not a great team right now. So the focus was about spending more on running backs. But I would say I got desperate with where that money went. And again, in the end, no money left for receivers, nothing for quarterbacks. So, yeah, that's just ultimately a bad auction strategy. So just a lot of good learnings for next season.
See, I might disagree slightly. I don't think it's necessarily a bad auction strategy. I think because like last year you did a very similar thing, like you said, with Aaron Rodgers. Because you spent a ton of money on 3 players last year.
Right.
So who were the 3 players? It was Aaron Rodgers, I know.
Gurley and Ezekiel Elliott.
Right. So, and honestly, I think that like I copied your strategy other than the Aaron Rodgers thing. I think that the Aaron Rodgers was like the bridge too far, spending $40 on him. But other than that, because I remember after 3 players, you had $6 left. And I saw the quality of players that you had. You had Gurley last year when he was great, and you had Ezekiel Elliott. Now, granted, you traded them away, but the draft strategy itself was solid. I copied it. Geese, I know you were thinking about copying. I don't know if you did, actually. Did you copy it?
It was close. I was really seriously considering it.
Right, like you inspired a lot of people to go out and get 2 big name players, and then I think the only difference was whether or not you spent it on that third. So I actually, I don't think the fault is in the draft strategy. I think your biggest problem is the trading. Like the deals that you make. So all right, so looking at your trades this year, I think that you could look at each individual trade of yours and go, yeah, that's a fair trade. That's a reasonable trade. That's a reasonable thing to do, for each one of them. But then you look at the A to Z and you're like, oh my God, look at what happened here. Like, look at all of these players that have gone. I mean, you had Nick Chubb. You had, what was your running back? It was Kamara, Chubb, Carryon Johnson.
Right.
You had a solid running back core, and then each of those kind of pieces sort of went away. And the deals were not bad because who'd you get in return? I don't remember.
Well, I know
how to meet. I know how to meet.
Yeah,
You got Connor
and Prescott
and and Burkhead didn't matter. He was whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just I don't know. I feel like because you are ahead of the game on everyone. You see players that we call them, the cryo chamber picks. These are not just sleepers. These are people in the cryo chamber. Where did you find these people? And then they end up doing well. I don't know what.
No, I know. Last year, I think Cooper Kupp fell to me late. Obviously, that worked out. And it's hard to say. It's the Rams, at the time had Robert Woods. They had traded for Brandon Cooks. So Kupp, you don't know what to get from there. But they run a lot of 3 receiver sets. They don't really have a tight end worth mentioning. So Cooper becomes Goff's just fail-safe, and even more so this year. It's interesting. I think a lot of it just, guys that everyone sort of is top of mind of get taken. So it's a question of who, if it's not them, who are those teams where you have an opportunity for talent to show up and maybe you'll get them for cheap. So that's kind of what that really is. Like this weekend, not to sort of jump ahead to the game, but yeah, Tyrell Williams, Derek Carr. Well, Carr obviously decent quarterback, getting better in fantasy the last couple of weeks. But Ty Williams is your primary receiver now that he's back, aside from Darren Waller. So you figure, and this year he's pretty much averaging a touchdown per game he's played, which is great. So you just figure whoever is the best player on a shaky team is at least going to get, at least from a receiver standpoint, getting their target share. But yeah, it's just trying to find out finding what's out there.
And where do you look? Are you looking? Are you reading certain things, or are you where are you?
Yeah.
Are you, I don't need your sources, but I'm just wondering. Are you reading magazines? Are you watching? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you?
Not. I really am not. I can't. Yeah, start of the year, I'll check out a lot of stuff that Matthew Berry puts out. But all the reading that you do, especially before the season starts, is just nonsense. You look at the cover of this year's fantasy football issue of Sports Illustrated, Antonio Brown is on the cover. And so, that just goes to show what a lot of fantasy writers are going off of, which is projections. Honestly, it gets down to players' health trends. This week, I think in another league I'm in, I had to dig in for J.D. McKissick out of Detroit. Didn't work out so well, but again, you just try and find what you can do. But oddly, this time around, where the team is now, Prescott was huge. Being able to get some steadiness at quarterback. Obviously, like I said, Ty Williams comes in handy here. George Kittle was someone I could probably say I overspent. It was like $35, which he's still like the number 1 or 2 tight end this year. He might overtake Kelsey actually, but so it's a fine investment. I think there's a combination of patience, which is something I think I want to exercise more next year, and not overreacting. I think I do draft good teams. It's a case of really just staying with it, and no matter how the first quarter of the season goes, first half of the season, just kind of ride that wave and see where it goes.
I completely agree with you. I think that I have said this. So about Eugene, I said I think that he is the least talented coach in the league. I think that his ability has been finding the ability to shaft people, like realize what their weakness is and just capitalize on their vulnerability and just and just attack it. And he does it well. I think your talent in this league is I think that you are the best scout in the league. I think you're one of the best drafters in the league. I just think that you ruin it all with the trading. I think you need to go on an embargo. I think after, just go sit in your room, get your drafted team, because you obviously have a feel for it, and then become North Korea. Just have no contact with the outside world, and I think that you can win the championship. I mean, how many of your players have won championships? I mean, like, I think that's...
I'm looking at your team and your week 1 team, and you drafted Cortland Sutton, which I didn't see coming. He actually has had a really good year.
Exactly.
So I give you credit for that. But I have to ask you one question. What is your rationale for keeping and drafting Gronkowski?
Well, up until a couple weeks ago, it wasn't quite clear if he was staying retired or not. And with the Patriots, I don't trust them as an organization. So I kind of thought, Gronk was basically pulling I don't want to show up to training camp, so I'm going to say I'm done. Okay. And then basically become available after, say, week 8 or whatever. My problem is that I do all of my team management on the phone, and honestly, I still haven't figured out how to put the guy on injured reserve to free up the roster spot.
All you gotta do is press the button on this. Oh, actually, no, I can tell you, he's not available, so that's why he's not eligible for IR. You have to either be the designation he has to have is out. What's the other one? There's like a few. It's out.
Or injured reserve. Well, no, that's
obviously IR. Like if they're on IR, they can go to injured reserve.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically,
like even if
he's out for this week, then you can put him on injured reserve until it becomes like questionable.
Right, and you just, because I do it on the phone too. Like literally, if you just press to the side and it gives you the option, then you can put him on injured reserve. But he's just not eligible. That's why. So he's just eating up a roster spot for you right now.
Yeah, pretty much. It may not be after this week. I think I finally have made my decision to move on. So we'll see if he is suddenly finally jettisoned from the Lions.
So what do you think so obviously we've said many times, and I really believe it to be true, that 7 losses will eliminate a team. What do you do you think you have any chance this year, or are you just playing for $5 a game?
I'm playing for $5 a game. I'm just being realistic. I mean, the best team in the league's got 7 wins already. So, and there's already a bunch of teams, I think, at 5 wins. So, I mean, mathematically, I think it's possible to slip into the lowest seed, but I'm being realistic. It's being competitive. I'm not comfortable with the idea of just saying sort of screw it, which we've had teams in the past do. So it's about fielding good teams. This week, Prescott was out. And, as a Raiders fan, I'm not the biggest fan of putting guys in that team onto my fantasy team because it's, worlds collide, all that shit. But it happened to work out this week. They put a good offensive game against Houston. Didn't get the win, obviously, but good enough to, generate enough points for us. So that was helpful. But yeah, it's just playing for the 5, honestly, literally. So that's
but
really it.
Are you also trying to figure out? I mean, strategies that could be used in as a testing ground. Because are you using the opportunity to figure out how to be a better fantasy player for next year? Let's see what works. Yeah. Let's see, let's test. Because now you kind of have some freedom to be able to do stuff that a team that's fighting for something very specific, specific can't maybe make. Whereas you can go more outlandish. You could throw crap at the walls and see what sticks, and then take the knowledge from that and then use that next year. Are you doing that?
I mean, in the sense of just being mindful of players, people that you pick up, or seeing who emerges. Like right now, I'm excited about I forget the rookie receiver out of the Giants, who I think I may have put in for this, Darius Slayton. And just seeing young players emerge, and just paying attention to trends, going into the off season, sort of coming up with a hit list as to who to pay attention to, but also being mindful of players that are highly projected that are just sort of falling by the wayside. So, like, for example, with someone like Todd Gurley, like we know the arthritic knee is real. So, yeah, it kind of questions, what kind of investment I would make in a player like that next year. Obviously, someone like Josh Jacobs is going to go for a fair amount of money next year. Not exactly, I don't think $70, but well worth it for what seems to be having a good rookie season and a good. Again, I only really paid attention to Oakland, but a good offensive line. So you just see who's emerging as players worth noting, and good players that stay that way. And what does that mean from an investment standpoint? That's really it. So just paying attention to the league. I like your point about it's not really so much about these playoffs, to be honest. It's more about just looking across the league and figuring out opportunities to, put my quote unquote good scouting abilities to use and get ready for next season.
And then, so we've asked this of pretty much all the other coaches that have come on. Who do you think? Do you have a rival in this league? And like a specific this is the one that you really get up for.
No, not really. No. No one in particular. It's really just, for us, it's about just competing. It's just putting as whatever roster I can on the field, and hoping for the best. Like I said, this weekend, to be fair to your team, you guys obviously had a lot of guys hurt, all kinds of stuff going on, but just being excited about just getting opportunities. It was nice to get a win. Just stay competitive. So, no team gets us up for this is the week. Even this week with Eugene, it's going to be fun. Right now I think we're projected to be, negative 15 against them. But we'll see. I've got some decisions to make. Dak's coming off a bye week, going up against a not a great Giant secondary. But at the same time, Carr's been hot the last couple of weeks, getting over 20 points a week. So, what do you do there? So, no rivalries. Just try to stay competitive.
And actually, I was remembering. I don't know if this was on the this part of the conversation was on the air or off the air, but when you played Manny, that's when you won by .12, the closest margin of victory. So,
that's right.
So the Minnesota Lions have done really well against the host of this podcast, I have to say.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I think just
got to have the closest game in league history. Maybe I'll consider you as a rival.
There you go.
Possibly. Yeah. That was a tough loss.
That was a crazy game. I think I won on an Eckler 4-yard.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Oh my
God. I think that was the Sunday night game against Pittsburgh. I think, right?
Something like that. I didn't watch. I was in Europe and I was just constantly refreshing my phone. Seeing scores, and it was a nail biter. It was crazy.
Yeah, and honestly, and that's the thing that had you gotten one more yard, essentially, your season looks very different. You'd be 3-5 right now. You'd be where the lightning rods are, and then Happy Sounds Finest would, well, they'd still be in first place, but whatever. But
I'm looking at your week 1 team to see, see your team, how you drafted it. And I see you had an extremely strong running back core.
Right.
Teams would be dying to have that. Kamara, Kerryon Johnson, and Nick Chubb. So let's review the trades of Nick Chubb and Kerryon Johnson. And what was your thought process behind those trades?
I think of the trades, probably the one for Chubb was the one in retrospect least excited about. At the time, I think, and I tend to be a little reactionary, which is a problem I have, obviously, as a manager. But, but the Browns have come out not great, especially after their first week 1. Chubb, first couple weeks' performance was low. So you're thinking about, where's there an opportunity to make some moves? I think at the time, I thought maybe Josh Gordon would emerge as a better receiver for the Patriots. Obviously, didn't really work out so well. I think there was a second player in that deal that I thought might be able to kind of make the deal a little more palatable. But
that was Emmanuel Sanders. He got like one.
Right.
Oh yeah, he was good in the beginning of the year.
He was. Unfortunately, Joe Flacco's not good, and now he's hurt for the next 5 or 6 weeks, and we'll see what happens to Sanders. Although he's now in with San Francisco, so just trying to make moves. In hindsight, that's the one I would go back and say, yeah, that wasn't smart. But we'll see now with Kareem Hunt coming back, what happens with the rest of the season for him.
Okay. But I do think that actually, if you look at his deal with me for Kerryon Johnson, I actually think you got you certainly got the better of the deal out of me, because first of all, you're the only one who has players that are still playing out of that deal. So, you got a quarterback out of it. We both lost the running back, so whatever. But I mean, still, and frankly, Connor way outperformed Kerryon Johnson even when he was around, and he's the one who put the nail in my coffin this week.
Yeah, that's just irony. Yeah.
So I actually think that's the deal that might be your best trade ever, Nick. Just looking at your history. I don't know. I mean, like, and I like being on this program. I mean, I am not reactionary. I mean, we are on the program with somebody. Your what's the opposite of the predecessor? Your subsequent commissioner. I mean, that guy, the one that's on this program, is reactionary like I've never seen before. So maybe it's something in the office. The office of the commissioner that makes you're all frantic. But I don't, I think that maybe you're a little bit frantic in the beginning of the season, a little bit. But I find that you, I don't know, are not so much later on.
Yeah.
And then then you use the power to draft. Yes, honestly, become North Korea. Do it.
Okay, I will channel my inner Kim Jong-un next season.
Exactly. Geez, any questions?
No, I think you pretty much covered all the necessary topics this time.
Did I? I mean, there has to be more. What's it like being retired as commissioner? I mean, you're living the sweet life out in.
I am. It's good. It's funny. I didn't stay retired too long. I later started a fantasy league at work. So I like this idea about being able to get things going and then step away from it once I don't get really interested about doing it. I certainly don't miss asking people in the center to pay up, which I think in years past definitely was not. It's not my strong suit. Clearly, I mean, Gaze is a leg breaker compared to me. So,
to be honest, though, the league in general is pretty good about paying up.
It's gotten better because we've gotten rid of people like Jamel and LeVar. Just being honest for a minute. We've got guys who drag their feet for $65 and who still find it enough to go out on trips every Labor Day. I mean, it's stunning. Yeah, see, I'm not a regular on the show, so I'll just take shots and walk away and not think anything of it. But
but that's the benefit of being in retirement from that kind of stuff. You don't have to deal with being diplomatic at all.
Yeah, not my strong suit, especially when it comes to collecting funds. I think Gaze has done a phenomenal job of just being the heavy hand. You get the money on time, get the draft scheduled.
It's
just move
gotten
forward.
a lot easier as the seasons have progressed. People are really good about it. I mean,
Well, I think you've normalized behavior. Yeah, I think a good thing a commissioner does is set an expectation that everyone can follow. And unlike Goodell, you're extremely consistent. So I think people know what to expect from you, and they know what's expected of them. So I think that's a wonderful thing.
I think it's funny. The opposite meme has developed when it's time for me to pay out. Pretty interesting fucking pictures posted, but again, I haven't had to get to hopefully sidestep this year. Payouts are the end of the first week in January, okay? I don't understand why this is such a a funny subject every December. Like the second season's over, people are like, "Where's my money?" I'm like, "God."
Well, don't do what I did, which is in the first season of the league, I think I took money, put it in, and everyone paid via PayPal. And unfortunately, my wife also had access to the account, so she's like buying shit from PayPal. And then it comes end of season, I'm like, I have no money. I got to pay out about $600. What the fuck happened? So I had to eat that one. So lesson learned there. But I think Yahoo's done a better job of keeping sort of a different pot separate. So that's good.
Yeah. And as far as the podcast, do you miss doing that too? I mean, I know you have like you're like a dad now, and you have like actual human responsibilities.
Yeah, I do miss it. I don't want to commit and say that I expect to be back, but hopefully, the invitation's always open to me. I know that. So hopefully we'll be able to come back some other time this year. Yeah, honestly, most nights, either lower myself or putting our daughter to bed, and then usually I'm just like right back at work, just getting shit done. So most of my nights are kind of grinding late. So it's hard to commit to a regular podcast that way. But I hope to make a guest appearance at some time in the near future. It's funny to your point about being a dad. We have our next baby coming next year, and it just shit gets real, right?
Right. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
So now we go
you will
from.
But you will be attending the Center Bowl this year. I know.
I did. Yeah. Our due date is early March, so early February. Center Bowl. As we visit the Mile High City. So
emphasis. High.
Exactly. And we're just talking about the elevation, folks. That's all we're doing here. But no, I'm still slated to get to Denver, which I'm excited about. I've been there a couple times last few years. It's one of my favorite cities. I'm still angling, Lord, maybe eventually work at a hospital out there. We'll see, but it's nice, and we're gonna be out there in February, which I've never done before. Finally get out to the Rockies, with a little bit of snow on the ground, so it's gonna be gorgeous, man. I'm excited, and I'm hoping people were able to come out.
Yeah, and last year was a ton of fun too. We did it at Nick and Jamie's. We played the epic risk game that took forever, but this is gonna be a little bit different.
It's gonna be different.
But this is what I like about the Center Bowl.
There's a shit more to do in Denver.
Yes, there was not much. I had a great time. But this is the thing that I've discovered about the Center. I think this is Center Bowl 20 now or 21. No, this is Center Bowl 21. The Center Bowl turns legal, just like the pot there. No,
in more ways than one.
Yeah, I know exactly. No. But there's been so many different iterations of it that there's some more relaxing ones. There's some more active ones, and so I think that's one of the great things about it. Like
absolutely,
every year it's something new and different.
So
I don't think that we've officially announced that it's all this stuff, but that's where it's going to be. I guess it's out of the bag for those who listen to the show.
Out of the dime bag if you're paying attention.
Yeah. But yes, the director of the Center Bowl Association, Mr. Dr. Hockey, will eventually make the official announcement. But yes, that's where it's going to be. So anybody who's interested, get your plans ready. We'll figure out the accommodations and stuff. But yes, it's going to be obviously this Super Bowl weekend this year. So
so I'm excited to go. Last year, Gates and I took a flight together, which was awesome. So hopefully we'll be able to get down there. I'm planning definitely having a great weekend because it's true. Once I get back, a couple weeks later we have our next kid and just gonna be kind of hunkered down for a little while. Whenever you go from zone coverage to man, it gets real.
Nice, like that.
All right. Well, so I don't have much else in terms of your team. I do think, first of all, I totally appreciate you continuing to play hard. Not against me personally. I hate that. But against all the other teams. And I think that all of us do owe you a big debt of gratitude for starting this up.
Well, I appreciate that. But again, the kudos go to you guys for just keeping it. keeping the plan going for essentially. So I'm just excited to contribute to just a great group that we have, and it does excite me. I'm not on Facebook, so I don't really see when the episodes get posted, but I'm glad that the tradition lives on, both the league and the show.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, awkward goodbyes. I'll see you guys all in Denver.
All right, welcome back to the show. As it's time to go over some standings and some of the transactions last night. So, in terms of the standings, I don't know. Does anybody know who's in first place? No one? Okay, we can.
I do.
Oh, do you?
Good idea who's in first place, yeah.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to things that lofty.
The
Yes.
new guy.
Yeah, so the Hackettstown's finest, 7-1 with 1,088 points. The Whalers continues to be in second place, tied with the St. Louis Blues, both at 6-2, but the Whalers have a 1,020.14 to 972.24 edge. The 1603ers on fourth could have been in sole possession of second place had they not lost to Zamunda, but they chose to do that. They find themselves in fourth with Tillotray at 5-3. Wakanda and Hackettstown are in sixth and seventh with 4-4 records. Then you get to the 3-5 teams, the Lightning Rods and the Memphis Monkeys. Then to the 2-6, Nick and Jamie and Zamunda Lions, two of the Three Musketeers, and then at the basement, Dave's Secret Crush, Eugene. 1-7 with 988 points. So that rounds out the standings. Once again, it seems like there's like pairs. The 6-2, 5-3 pair, 4-4 pair, 3-5 pair, 2-6 pair, and then bookending is the 7-1 and 1-7 team. Interesting.
Yeah, it's perfectly symmetrical.
I know. If you have what is it, OCD or something like that? You could look at this and be happy. It's, in terms of transactions, I guess the biggest transaction from last night, at least the one that pisses me off the most, is Jalen Samuels picked up by the Whalers for $58, which brings the total that Whalers has spent on this one man this season to 123. Because he picked him up earlier in the season for $65, dropped him, and then re-picked him up for another $58. So out of his $200 budget, I'm not sure if he had any left over from the auction, but from around a $200 budget, 120, more than half of it has been spent on Jalen Samuels. Who I don't even know, has he gotten him any points this season? I don't know.
No, I think the first time I picked him up, he went on IR.
I know, but I'm just wondering if he played him that week. I almost want to, like, so, let's see. What week did he pick him up? He picked him up October 2nd. So, I don't know. I'd have to do some math to figure out when the 2nd was. It's probably like week 5 or something. Yeah, he played Jalen Samuels for a total of 3.46 points that week. On the bench. Oh, no, he didn't play him. He was on the bench. I'm sorry. So he had... That was the week that... That's right. He said he was playing his opponent that week. Or, he didn't want his opponent to be able to pick up the player. His opponent being Zamunda. So... Interesting. I mean, like... I don't know. Does he even need a running back? Whatever. I desperately need a running back, but, whatever. Can't go pick him up unless you spend $58.
Is Connor out for the year?
I don't know if he's out for the year. He's definitely out for at least a week, I would say.
He's listed as questionable, so
Yeah,
it's
he's
not
not.
like.
No, I know.
No.
Although to be honest, this was so. I continue to regret my trade with Nikki Baby for Connor. But honestly, this is what I feared. I feared because Connor kept going down with an injury over and over and over again. And I just didn't want to deal with that mess, and he goes down with another one. So it was kind of satisfying to find out that he went out of the game. It would have been nice if he was out for the season so that I could at least feel like I was justified, being that the guy that I went to go get is now out for the season, and they're using a 20-man committee, bringing each man's total down to a point. But whatever. Who needs an RB2? It's just a luxury. I mean, I have Walmart. I don't know.
Zamunda finally dropped Gronkowski.
I saw that.
He's available.
I know Gronk is finally available. They actually picked him up for the Lions guy, one of the Lions many committee members, Trey Johnson or something. Trey Carson, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Trey? I think I don't know. Everybody over there is named Johnson or Trey, or whatever. They have like 3 Johnsons, 2 Treys. I mean, Zamunda might have a Trey, but whatever. So the other thing, I'll tell you this: the other thing that pisses me off about the Samuels thing more than anything else is that I had picked up Samuels. So Monday I had rotated back and forth between picking up Walton and Samuels, and eventually settled on Walton because I figured, well, he's at least going to start. It's like I'd have to wait for an injury for Connor, but of course that injury happened. So it drives me nuts. This kind of stuff. What are you going to do?
Yep.
Maybe any other notable transactions from yesterday?
Your pickup of Madison isn't bad.
It's not great.
No, it's not great. Dalvin Cook is still healthy, but I mean, yeah.
I don't like rooting for banana peels. It's just not. I trade him like. What were you saying? Didn't you ask before we went on the air whether or not the Lightning Rods is ever going to spend any money?
Yeah.
I would trade Madison for cash. Can we do that? Can we trade for cash? I just want money. Just give me more free agent money. I would trade for that. I would easily trade some players for that.
How much? 25 cents for Madison?
25 cents for Madison? I don't know. He's worth some fake money if he's not spending anything in the auction.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Give me 100. Yeah. Give me 100 fake bucks.
$8 for a kicker by Tilla Trey. Is Mara really that good?
No.
I mean, I spent $3 for a kicker, but $8 for Brett Maher.
Why are you spending any money on a kicker? Anyone?
Well, I spent money on Prater because he had the highest percentage of 50-yard field goals completed.
Is he still your kicker?
He is. He is, and he's getting me an average of like 8 to 9 points.
That's good. How much did you did you outbid anybody? Did anybody bid for him that week?
No.
All right, so you just flushed $8 down the toilet.
And that's the week he put up 21 points.
Yeah, I mean, look, whatever. I just don't spend money on kickers. Yeah. I understand spending money on defenses, especially.
Yeah, I do like spending money on defenses.
Yeah, but I mean that makes sense to me,
But not $30 for the Dallas defense.
Wait, did somebody do that? I mean, it wouldn't.
Nick and Jamie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What? I don't know what's going on in Nick and Jamie world. What are they just spending cash like a drunken sailor at this point? I don't understand. The Dallas defense? Were you really worried that somebody was going to outbid you?
I mean, just look at their schedule. They're playing, okay, the Giants this week, but then they're playing Minnesota, Detroit, and then New England. I mean, I would not spend any money on that Dallas defense. That's definitely a bad move.
Are they just drunk over there? I don't understand. Because didn't they spend like a fortune on somebody the week before? I don't know. I don't know. Wakanda picked up Kyle Allen, I guess. Finally dropping Andy Dalton. They've had enough, but of course they have to have a stable of 20 quarterbacks over there. Amendola picked up for $5. Actually, Olabasi, whatever that guy's name was, he was dropped. And then he outbid me for Amendola. I think I bid 0. He bid 5.
Mm-hmm.
Wakanda picked up Connolly and Adrian Peterson. The whore of the league, right? Gets
making his way around the league.
Been on every team on the league.
Yeah, I had a shot with him. I don't know.
So I see that the Hagglers have been quite quiet this week.
Yeah, what's going on there?
No pickups.
I can fall asleep. I forgot it was the free agency auction.
Oh.
Yeah, but you had all of today.
I actually forgot it was football. Getting haggled at work.
Interesting.
Is that what a loss will do to you?
No, a loss usually drives him into insanity. Frantic insanity. Interesting. All right, well, let's go on to try to predict these games upcoming. Preview some of them. Unless anybody else has anything of note in these transactions, I certainly do not.
No.
So, where would we like to go in terms of games? There's a few interesting ones, a few not so interesting ones.
Let's start with a game between the two last place teams.
So Zamunda and Dave's Secret Crush?
Yeah.
All right. So, the projection in this game is in favor of Dave's Secret Crush 124.51 to 110.18. Looking at these lineups, so let's see. I actually don't think that the Zamunda line, all right, Connor's questionable, he might not play, who knows. But other than that, he actually has a reasonable lineup. Trey Carson, I don't know. But these are players that you've heard of and stuff. He didn't go get his vaunted Slayton. But other than that, not the worst Zamunda team I've ever seen. I guess the real question in this game is how is Eugene gonna lose? You're the expert, Geese. How's he gonna pull this one out?
Well, let's take a look. Let's see what he can pull out of a hat this week. Well, he's got Cousins, Godwin. Is he doing the Mike Evans Godwin thing? He's doing everything right. It's gonna be a very tricky loss. Minnesota, Myers. That's very interesting. I think Hawkins is where he loses this week.
I could see that.
The Minnesota defense, I think Mahomes will end up playing, and Kansas City will score 55 points.
Okay.
He's very Tampa Bay heavy.
He's also Minnesota heavy. Yeah. He's got the defense and Kirk Cousins.
He's got the Seattle kicker, Evans, and Godwin, and he's got Carson in that game. If that game ends 3-3, he could be in big trouble.
Well, ironically, this certainly could come down to Monday night when Nick's quarterback tries to throw to Amari Cooper. I think that's maybe where the irony sets in on Monday night.
Yeah, he throws it to everybody but Amari Cooper.
Yeah, either that or he throws a touchdown to Amari Cooper in the end zone, which is called back on something like a hold, and then he just runs it in himself.
Right.
I'm predicting something along those lines.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
At this point, there's no point in predicting Eugene to win because he always finds a way to lose.
I know.
I'm not going to waste my.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this on paper, obviously you're going to pick Eugene. But no, I think Zamunda goes on a 2-game winning streak. Or maybe
Does
just
that mean Zamunda might get back into the playoff picture slightly?
Into the playoff picture, yeah. If somebody has a wide-angle lens, if they're shooting at the panorama picture of the playoff.
3 and 6.
I mean, he's technically still alive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on how the teams slightly above him do.
Yeah.
You know, like if the Hagglers who are the Hagglers playing?
I think they're playing.
Yeah. The Whalers. So if like the bottom teams all lose to the top teams, which is what I'm hoping for.
Why? Just out of spite?
Well, no, not really.
I forgot because you're in first place and you feel so secure there that nobody's going to catch you that you want all of the bottom teams to lose to the top team.
Well, it just gives it a little bit more of a buffer.
A buffer of what? Normally, a team looks at this. A team that's in first place no longer focuses on the Zamundas of the world. They don't focus on the 12th place team like, oh man, I got to make sure that I secure that, lock that down. No, you got to look at the second and third place teams. I mean, you want some separation there, don't you? It's the oddest philosophy I've ever seen.
I focus on everyone.
Yeah, but
I don't want anyone else to win.
I mean, half the teams do have to win.
Right.
And if I had my choice, even at my, I don't know, I think, I don't care what the Zamundas and the Nick and Jamies do at this point. I do care what the Whalers and the Blues and the Finest do. I'm giving the side eye to Wakanda.
With a 5-3 record, don't you prefer that the top teams to keep winning, don't you prefer that the bottom teams keep losing and the top teams keep winning?
Absolutely not.
So you but even if you, so then if you lose, you'll maintain that spot because the bottom teams won't move up.
I don't think of myself as, I may lose, but I don't. I want to win. I want to win, and I want the teams above me to lose so that I can catch them. Like last week, it was a gift that the Whalers lost. I could have had all I had to do was handle my business. I would have been in second, but no. I want to see the Nick and Jamies run the tape. I want the Lost Boat to turn this ship around and go on a streak beating, winning teams. I want to see Zamunda go hog wild. I mean, I don't care what they do against Eugene. This game means nothing. But, I mean, in this game, I might, if I had a rooting interest, I might root for, I guess, Eugene's team standings-wise so that it makes sure that there's a buffer between Nick and anything else. But, I mean, I wouldn't root for Eugene in general. All I'm saying is, in that kind of game, if it's two players that I have, if I'm dispassionately thinking about it, I would root for the last place team in that game, I guess. But
yeah.
in a game that's like second or third or fourth or any of the playoff teams versus a lower team, I'm rooting for the team that would not be in the playoffs now. so that I could surpass them. And if I was in first place, I would certainly not root for like the second place team or the third place team.
No, that makes sense. But I mean, I've always thought.
Are you really concerned that Zamunda is going to catch up to you? I mean, I think you could let that one go at this point.
In a way, I'm rooting for Dave's Secret Crush because he's mathematically out. So, if Zamunda keeps winning, if he wins out, there's a chance he might make the playoffs.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying.
And I would love it if Zamunda made the playoffs. I would love a rematch with Zamunda in the playoffs. I mean, not my team, because we would lose to a bunch of jabronis. We want to play good teams. But, a normal, rational team would want to play a team like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true.
We've already spent way too much time talking about the Zamunda Dave's Secret Crush matchup. All right, let's move on to the next game. Let's do one little tiny leap up to Nick and Jamie versus the Memphis Monkeys. So right now the projection is in favor of the Monkeys, 124.13 to 107.14 in favor of Nick and, well, not in favor, but for Nick and Jamie. I don't know. I still think that running back core for the Monkeys is just so good. Barkley versus Dallas on Monday night. Dalvin Cook at Kansas City and James White at Baltimore. I mean, James White might not have the best game, but other than that.
So did they spend $30 on Dallas to play them for next week? Like they didn't even put them in.
Yeah, they didn't even put them in.
Are they looking ahead?
No.
They're saving it for the Trey game.
No idea. I don't know what's going on. We have to
saving them for New England.
We have to get them on the show next week. I'm dying to know what's going on there. I just want to know. I want to know if they've lost their minds. I'm going to call Jamie. I need to find out. Maybe she's running the team. Maybe she's running the team. She has the power of the purse. She's like, I want to spend all this money on Dallas.
It's just it's a head scratcher trying to figure out what's going on over there.
I mean, Nick put on Facebook that he thinks he's going to focus on something else now that I think Indianapolis is doing badly, and I don't know, whatever. So yeah, maybe Jamie's just they're giving it to the kids. maybe their kids are just they're just like, here, go ahead, go pick a defense. All right, Daddy, $30 for Dallas. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Monkeys have to win this game. I mean, they should win it, and they have to win it. If they want to stay in playoff contention. I mean, if they don't win this, they're
Is Nick and Jamie gonna be the spoiler, taking people out one at a time?
No. I don't know. Whoever faces Dallas on that week, that they go off. But other than that, no. I mean, they could play spoiler, but no. I think come on, the Monkeys are gonna win this game.
Yes, I would have to agree.
I mean, the interesting matchups here are Galladay versus Marvin Jones, both playing versus Oakland. I mean, other than that, Derrick Henry has been terrible. I mean, James White will outplay him. I mean, Jonnu Smith played really well and will probably outplay Graham, but and T.Y. Hilton is dependent. But, I mean, come on, other than that, the Monkeys have to win this one. They have to, and they will. They're going to come through with this.
Yeah. I mean, unless Marvin Jones steals all of Galladay's touchdown passes. I mean, that's
the opposite
possibility.
Unless Galladay
I think,
steals,
yeah, that's true. It can go the other way. And I think Winston also has a tough matchup at Seattle. I wouldn't start him. But, I mean, he does.
Unless he wants to pick up Andy Dalton.
Minshew Magic has been solid. But it's tough to pick to play someone that goes to London. A lot of the best players haven't performed well there.
No, it's like playing the Thursday night game. I don't like to play anybody in the Thursday night game, and I don't like to play anybody in the
Agreed. But man, that running back core, that scares me.
Yep.
It's tough.
Like, that's a team, like, if you're rooting, that's a team that you root against.
Yeah.
You don't want to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
Like, and a loss here can really make it so that they're probably not going to make the playoffs. If they win this, then they still have a really good chance at it. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where shall we go next? Is there I don't know.
Let's go to the Hagglers game between the Whalers and the Hagglers.
All right, one of the more interesting games this week. So the projection is
Yep.
slightly in favor of the Whalers, 114.86 to 110.40. Are you gonna finally get Devontae Adams to play? How's his toe, Coach?
Well, he's day to day now instead of no chance in hell you're gonna win.
So which day is Sunday gonna be? Is it gonna be a go day or a no day?
Oh, I'm really banking. My receivers are fucked if Mahomes doesn't come back this week and Adams doesn't play this week. We're gonna be digging through the trash bin again.
I mean, this is kind of an important game for you. I mean, the loss to St. Louis really hurt last week.
Yeah, no shitballs. Thanks, Captain Obvious.
And Fitzgerald is going on Thursday night, so you don't have that option of playing him if Adams doesn't go.
Yeah.
We'll have to have Drake's Cakes do something.
Yep.
Well, we know how you like to trade. We haven't quite reached the trading deadline. I would have the Hagglers on speed dial on Saturday, depending on Sunday morning, for some kind of trade deal. I mean, you haven't done anything. I could see you doing something right before the game if Adams can't go.
Oh yeah, I'd be all about it.
I mean, you can put Gallup in there, guy that I gave to you. You haven't had much faith in him, huh?
No, not really. He's been stone hand dropping everything, if that's what you mean by faith.
I mean, if he wants to gallop down to last place, he could try to do that. All right. Wow, Williams is planning on playing Samuels in this game. Is that what this is for? I wonder. I guess he's pissed at McCoy. He's got so many running backs on his bench. But he's playing him in the flex. Let's see. He's playing Royce Freeman and Melvin Gordon. I feel like he's just trying to scoop up any running back with a pulse.
Yeah, he has like six running backs, but none of them are really that good.
I know. Like, if you could play them all, they would be.
Yeah.
Well, it would be running back by committee.
Yeah. You'd be the Lions.
Oh, again, another Melvin Gordon versus Eckler matchup.
How many
times have we had that season?
Literally, they seem to play each other every week in this league. How often have these guys been traded that they... Because let's see. I mean, because Gordon was at Scottco over at over at the Blues. Eckler was over at the Hackettstown Depot. Yeah, everybody just picks these guys up and plays them. I don't know. I mean, not that you're... Drake's Case versus Royce Freeman, I mean... It's not that exciting.
Oh, yeah, I got to go get a kicker. That's great.
Jamal Williams versus Samuels. I mean, theoretically, Williams should do better, but it depends on if Connor plays or not.
Yep.
I mean, Stafford at Oakland, that's a good matchup for him. Ty Lockett at Tampa Bay, that's certainly a good matchup for the Whalers. This is actually going to be a very close game. A lot of buys for the Whalers. What's he just doing with Singletary there on the bench? Is he just not going to play him at all? I mean, he had 14 points in week 8. He's not going to play Singletary. Instead, he's going to go out and get himself some Connor. Play Singletary. I mean, who's his matchup against this week? He's playing Washington. Really? You're not going to play him?
You can trade him Drake Takes for Singletary. Just go back and forth jabroni.
Yeah. I'll happily trade him. I'll give him some cash if he wants that for Singletary. I'll trade him. I don't know who I have. I'll trade him Madison. You want Madison? Oscar Madison?
How many teams have these guys been on?
I don't know. All the Madison also has been on every team, I think.
Waiting for Dalvin Cook to get injured.
I know. Everybody's like, this is the week where Dalvin Cook gets injured. Oh, he wasn't? Never mind. Let's throw him in the trash. And then by the time he does, just the Lightning Rods is going to come in and just bid $221 on him and go, ha ha, I waited him out and I got him. More cash than anybody else. I don't know. All right, so predictions for this. I mean, so yes, you do need a kicker. So this projection is so you actually will be projected higher probably as long as you get a kicker that has a leg and a foot attached to that leg.
Attached, yeah.
But it won't be that much, whatever. Maybe you should have spent $8 on a kicker. I kind of like the Whalers' matchups here. I do. I think the Hagglers drop another one. It's a tough call.
I am not picking myself until Devontae Adams is finally back from his turf toe shenanigans.
I mean, that's what you get when you purchase somebody off of the hospital bed.
The Wakanda Panthers meat wagon.
All right, so now the game between the Finest and Tillitree. So what do you think of this?
Yeah, I think I have some favorable matchups in this week. No Gurley this week, so I have to plug in Jordan Howard, and he does have a tough matchup against Chicago. But I like Chubb's matchup. I like John Brown's matchup. Rodgers and Hopkins also have decent matchups. So, yeah, I think I'm the favorite in this game, but I think San Francisco's defense can force some turnovers against Arizona. David Johnson, that's a big variable. And I think Fournette is going to go crazy against Houston. So
I do too. I'm actually curious about your pick, your choice of defense here. The Giant. I mean, I know they're playing
this is the Jets defense.
This is the Jets defense. Sorry, against Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that the Miami's that bad that you're willing to pick the horrid Jets defense? I mean, because the Jets are pretty bad too. I mean, you could almost go out and pick the Jets. I mean, the Miami defense also.
Miami, they just can't hold on to the ball. Like, I was watching that Pittsburgh game, and they forced so many damn turnovers.
I mean, because I debated whether or not to pick up the Miami defense against the Jets because they're that bad too.
Yeah, it's a good point. You kind of can go either way.
Yeah. I ended up just avoiding the whole thing.
Yeah. I just look whoever plays Miami or Cincinnati, and that's the defense I pick. That's how I've been rolling, and it's been fairly successful.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just that this is such an odd week where both teams seem to want to be losing. They're almost both teams. Yeah. So, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to go with the Hackettstown's Finest here. I don't think that he has anybody to replace David Johnson there. McLaurin has not been. I mean, what has McLaurin done? I mean, he's been pretty silent lately. I just don't see it. I mean, it's possible. I mean, he's got Zerline without a game, but then again, that's why he bid all that money on Mar. Julio Jones is out. I think he's got some matchup problems this week. So, I certainly think that he's, I mean, this is one of those teams. This is one of the two teams that constantly surprises me between them and the Blues. I don't know how they have the success that they do. I mean, I look at their rosters and I'm like, really? I mean, I sometimes look at my roster that way too. But I at least
outlandish projection. I'm just gonna pick the Hackettstown Flyers. I'm not gonna bother.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. So that leaves us with 2 games left. Let's go with the Cousins rivalry: Wakanda versus the Lightning Rods. So right now the projection is well in favor of the Lightning Rods, 121.36 to 95.64. Let's see. Russell Wilson versus Tampa Bay. That's certainly productive for the Lightning Rods. He gets Elliott back. Philip Lindsay, who was listed as questionable. But why is that? So is Edelman. He's also listed. Wrist limited on Thursday. It's precautionary, so he'll be fine. He's rolling with Robbie Anderson. That's interesting. Keenan Allen, Connolly. Deshaun Jackson finally coming back. Maybe. I don't know. Ingram comes back from, so he is, Le'Veon Bell against Miami should do well. Ingram against New England, I don't know about that. He's very reliant on that Baltimore New England game, which is not a game that I'd want to be reliant on, including his defense. Yeah, I think I gotta pick the Lightning Rods in this game, actually.
I do. Finally, New England's schedule gets a little bit tougher, and they have to play actual teams. So we'll see if their defense can keep their ridiculous production going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually curious as to how Baltimore is going to play in this game, because, I mean, you saw what they did against Kansas City, which is like the high-powered offense, and this is the vaunted defense of this league. But I mean, they didn't score that much in that. That was supposed to be a shootout, and it didn't end up being that. So I wonder how this game flow is going to go in this game. I just don't think that it's. I don't know. I mean, the Lightning Rods also has Edelman. I mean, it's very reliant on that game, and I just don't know. I still just think that he has enough players to stay away from that on the Lightning Rods, and I think that he pulls this game out. I mean, the projection's well in his favor also, so.
I agree.
All right, so that leaves us with the last game of the week, which is the 1603ers playing a real team, St. Louis Blues. The projection right now is almost dead even. It's 50-50, 122.16 to 122.23. So is that a .05 differential in projection in favor of the Blues? Yeah, so he's with Mahomes. Do you think Mahomes is going to play this week?
There's a chance. Well, I need him to play, so yes.
I mean, he's listed as doubtful. And it's a short week.
I think he sits one more week.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think he sits one more week. I mean, and Lombardi does too, clearly, because he's going with Mason Rudolph. So, for the 1603, what?
Maybe because Eugene is playing the Minnesota defense against Kansas City, Mahomes will play.
Don't insult Lombardi by calling him Eugene. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So Rudolph versus Allen. So this is interesting. I've also decided, I mean, you could comment on this. I've decided to not play Lamar Jackson this week. Do you think that's a mistake?
Oof.
Yeah, oof.
Yeah, that's a tough call.
I mean, you got Allen going against Washington, and you have Lamar Jackson playing New England. Now, but you contend that you don't think that the New England defense is real, so you would probably start Lamar Jackson.
Their schedule has been so bad, So finally they play against a real team, and also Lamar Jackson, he just runs so much. You get so many points that way. I probably would start him if it was me. I had Josh Allen, and I started him instead of Rodgers when Josh Allen had a favorable matchup, and Rodgers just went nuts. So, a lot of times you just have to go with your better QB, I feel.
It's an interesting point.
Disregard the matchup.
This is something we will certainly take into advisement.
You remember the last time you played this game with Lamar, Dak Prescott.
Yes, that's true. I don't know. We'll consider it. It's been taken under advisement. We have a few days to decide. I
would actually, honestly, looking at your team, I would start DJ Moore over Christian Kirk this week.
Versus Tennessee, I might.
San Francisco's defense, they're just so good at getting to the quarterback. I mean, Kyler Murray's going to have no time to throw the ball.
Well, wait. But, because they're playing, if Kyler Murray's even doing it. That's true. I mean, he might have volume, though. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. This is a very... This... I also don't like playing on the Thursday night, so... I don't know. We'll see. I'll take it under advisement. I'll consider it. DJ Metcalf, he has a good matchup against Tampa Bay for Lombardi.
Mm-hmm.
He's been kind of hot and cold, but I mean, he seems to do well in favorable matchups. So he might, I don't know, these are things that we might need. Beckham and Jones, those have both been really good. I mean, the thing that annoys me is that he has Coleman. I mean, we could, honestly, I could play Coleman versus Breida, but clearly Tevin Coleman is the number one back there. So instead I have to go shopping at Walmart against the Jets to try to keep up. Waller versus Detroit against Andrews versus New England. I mean, that's interesting in that it would technically be my quarterback or my bench quarterback throwing to his tight end. Golden Tate versus Keenan Allen. I actually kind of like the matchup that we've had. I mean, Keenan Allen is okay, but Golden Tate has actually been really good. And Keenan Allen kind of has a hamstring pull. I mean, he might play, but we'll see. I don't know. Well, obviously, I never pick my team. I'm going to pick Lombardi in this game, but it really is a pick 'em in this one. And this is like a huge game. This is a game it's not huge in terms of like the loser is out of the playoffs, but it's huge in terms of seeding. If Lombardi and the Blues can win this game, I meing, they certainly are in contention and good contention for the bye. If the 1603s remain in contention for the bye if they win this. If they lose this, then they're just looking at being just any old playoff team. Mm-hmm. I mean, and potentially dropping down to the point where they're not going to make the playoffs, but I think that their record should be okay. But I don't know. Our running back, too, situation is horrific. So, I don't know. This is an important game for both these teams. But yes, I'm picking Lombardi.
Yeah. And, I mean, the quarterback situation is very interesting because you get the two first with Cole Beasley. So that's quite interesting. And, I mean, Lamar has been really good, though. So I don't know. I would start him.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's tough, though. And what's your rationale behind starting the Denver defense against Cleveland? You think Cleveland continues to self-destruct and beat themselves with penalties?
Yeah, and there's nobody left. I was late to the defensive train, and I was like, all right, who do I have left? I was like, okay. I mean, I just as easily could have gone with the Cleveland defense against Denver. But I figured, you know what? Cleveland gets... I mean, I saw some clip with Baker Mayfield, melting down against a reporter. It doesn't look good over there. things might happen. Some interceptions, some
Yeah.
turnovers,
Good point.
and based upon what was left,
Yeah. True.
it wasn't a highly thought out defense. Like, there was not a lot of strategery in this one. It was just, that's who's left.
This is a pick'em. This is definitely the matchup of the week, I think.
Yeah,
Very close.
And I know how much Lombardi would love it.
Yeah.
My preview passes ended for the World Series. We're going into the bottom of the ninth. What are you talking about? Sorry if I've only half been paying attention. It's Game 7. All right. So with that, for those of us who want to watch the end of the World Series, all right. Geese, what are you picking in this game? Let's go.
I'm going to pick 16 on Warriors.
All right, interesting enough. I don't care. Let's go to your lock of the week. Who's your lock of the week? This is actually a tough week to have a lock of the week. I think Hackettstone's no. I was gonna say the finest against. You know what? I'm gonna go with Lightning Rods over Wakanda.
Lightning over Wakanda. Okay.
I mean, who are you going with?
Now I'm gonna go with Hackettstone's finest over Tilletrek.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What game are you playing? I could clearly hear you playing. Hitting video game controllers in the background.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, clearly. What game are you playing that you're giving way more attention to than
I'm playing Call of Duty. I mean,
than your job.
Franchise. I'm doing my job. I'm here.
And I'm sure the fans appreciate it that you have my minimal attention. Upset of the week.
Upset of the week.
Upset.
I mean, technically, it's the Zamunda Lions.
Well, technically, yeah. Well, yeah. That's my upset of the week. Zamunda Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the teams that are playing each other this week are close in the standings.
I know, it's actually very interesting.
Very
it's
interesting. Yeah.
It's kind of it's like one above, one below. Like these are this will kind of give a good picture of what's to come after this week. I think that we'll get a clearer vision or something. Mm-hmm. All right, and your game of the week, which one do you think is the matchup of the week? I think you've already said.
It's your game.
Yeah, I think so too.
Blues and
Careers. Blues 16 on careers is definitely that's the biggest implications this week.
Yeah, I think so. We are the flex game of the week. It's interesting. All right. So, congratulate everybody now who knows who already won the World Series because it's tomorrow morning when everybody's listening to this. But for those of us who are still not in tomorrow morning, who have gone back to the future, we are waiting here to go see it. So, I'm going to say goodbye. So, first of all, thanks for Nick for joining us for this week. Very insightful. Good interview there. Except for the beginning where he was mercilessly mocking me, where a 2-6 team is mocking their one opponent that they beat. One of the two. But otherwise, fantastic interview. Always fun when Nick is on. And I mean, Geese clearly has some Call of Duty to get back to. It's his duty. It's calling. And I don't know. I know, Manny, you have like league dues amounts of money riding on this World Series. You want to see that too, right?
I do. I have some. I placed some sports bets this week on this World Series because they were the underdog. So I'm looking forward to see the bottom of the ninth inning.
Yeah. So congratulations or not, depending on what happened in this happening. All right. So we will see everybody next week.
All right.
Have a good week. All right.
Thanks. All right. Peace.
All right. Bye.